Oh yeah, we watching wrestling from the '80s, and like we just told Charlie and Jacob, this is real wrestling. Because all that flipping and flopping they do on TV now, it ain't real, son. It's about arm bars and figure four leg locks and camel clutches and what else, Jim? What other moves are that's real wrestling?
Headlocks.
Headlocks, fireman's carry. What else? Do you ever see a Crimson Mask on
I've not
wrestling
seen a
now?
Crimson Mask in a while.
In a long time. You don't even see the damn neck breaker, jackknife, power bomb. They don't even do that stuff, Charlie. That right there, like with Kendall Windham you see on TV right now, that's real wrestling.
Yeah.
That stuff you watch now is called gymnastics. Or it's called cheerleading. All them flops and flips off the turnbuckles and stuff, son. It ain't real. What do you think about it? Let me ask you one question. Who's your favorite wrestler of all time?
Daniel Bryan.
Who?
Daniel Bryan.
Who?
Daniel Bryan.
Son, he never heard of no. What is that, Daniel Boone? What did he
You're
say?
supposed to say Dusty Rhodes.
Dusty Rhodes.
You got a Sloppy Joe's t-shirt on. Let me ask you about Goldberg.
Yeah.
What do you think about Goldberg?
Yeah.
Is
He's
he
tough.
one of your favorites of all time?
Yeah.
Is he number 1A or 1B?
B.
All right, so Dusty's 1. Daniel Bryan's 2 or 3. We talking about old wrestlers. Okay, so who's 2 old wrestlers? Goldberg or 1?
Sting.
Sting? That's a good one. I'll take that. What about Ric Flair?
4.
Huh?
4.
What about Abdullah the Butcher?
I don't know.
5.
Yeah.
What about the Mongolian Stomper?
He's never seen.
You ever seen the Mongolian Stomper?
No.
He would stomp you. What about Baron von Raschke with the claw? Like this right here, the claw. He put the claw on you.
How about Ronnie Garvin?
The hands of stone.
He was NWA heavyweight champion.
Let me ask you about Jimmy Jam Garvin. Jim, what you know about Jimmy
Dude,
Jam?
you remember this dude, Denny Brown, junior heavyweight champion? Remember that dude?
Jim, what about Jimmy Jam Garvin?
Jimmy Jam Garvin.
When you think of Jimmy Jam, when I say that, what do you think of?
I think of Precious. When he came out, he had Precious by his side, and he would flock his flip his hair
perm.
up and
He had a
all
perm.
that. Yeah, the big perm.
He was
would flip
permed
his
up.
hair. Yeah.
All right, so let me ask you another one. If I say Ronnie Garvin, what do you think of?
I think of a crew cut with the blonde hair, total opposite of Jimmy Garvin.
Hands
but he
of
had
stone.
the hands of stone.
And they were brothers.
Yeah.
Actually, the true story is he was telling
yeah.
a true story.
True story was Ronnie Garvin was Jimmy Garvin's stepdad, but they were brothers in wrestling.
And they didn't like each other too much either.
No.
And what about Precious? She had that brush.
Yeah.
She was combing
yeah,
the hair.
she would brush.
She would brush his hair. What would you, Charlie, what would you do if you had a valet who come out and brushed your hair before a match? What would you do?
I don't know.
You don't know. All right, Jim. What about Bruiser Brody?
He was one of the baddest dudes ever.
All right. What about Stan, the man Hansen?
He was one of the baddest dudes ever.
Another one. What about Abdullah the Butcher?
He was just nasty.
Let me tell you about what I think of Abdullah the Butcher. Abdullah the Butcher's real name was Larry something. He was from Canada.
Shreve,
He was billed from, where was he billed from?
the madman from Sudan.
Sudan. So he was a Canadian, a black guy
And
that was
Sudan.
Canadian, that was billed from Sudan, and he had a barbecue joint in Atlanta,
That served chicken and barbecue, wasn't it?
chicken barbecue and Chinese food.
Yeah, Chinese, that's what it was.
And he had a bunch of Mexican cooks. So he kind of covered the continent in his whole scheme of things with Abdullah. And what about Ric Flair?
Probably the greatest of all time.
The greatest.
Maybe not the greatest wrestler, but the greatest mic man of all time.
I'll tell you my spill on it. Ric Flair, and I'm going to put this out there, is the greatest athlete of all time. The guy, hear me out, because the fans out in TV land will be going, what are you talking about? The guy wrestled 365 days a year for 30 years. And everybody wants to say it's fake. It is fake in the aspect that you knew who was going to win. Well, you didn't know who's going to win. Okay. You didn't know who's gonna win. But it was it's a physical sport, and the guy went 365 days a year. Would you agree with that? Well, 361. We don't need the
And you know, in 1974, he was in a plane crash and broke his back.
yeah.
Before he was ever the world champion, and before he was a big name.
Yeah, he lucky to be alive, in fact. And he was trained by Vern Gagne out of the AWA, which the dungeon, well, that was Stu Hart, but the Vern Gagne was one of the toughest trainers ever. So Ric Flair is the greatest athlete, bar none, longevity-wise, in the history of any sport. And Jim, who would you say was the greatest talker? Would it be Flair, or would it be Dusty, or would it be Roddy Piper, or would it be Hulk Hogan, or it would be superstar Billy Graham? Who would you go with as the greatest talker?
Well, just my personal favorite, I'm going with Dusty.
Dusty?
Yeah.
I can't argue that point. So what would distinguish him between Flair? Because I was like splitting hairs, but what would you?
Well, Dusty was with the people. You know, I mean, he came out and he did the whole hard times. I mean, Flair never did anything like that.
No. He was with like Trump a little bit with the people, a little bit, with the grassroots plumber's son. He was a plumber's son. Am I correct on that?
You are.
He was a plumber's son.
And when he crawled out of a ditch.
Yeah, from nothing. And Flair was always the jet flying, limousine riding, Gucci wearing.
Well, to me, the difference was, Flair pretty much had the same promo over and over. Dusty was always different. It wasn't the same
according to where he was
every
at.
time. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. So we went to in old days. You had the heels and the good guys, the baby faces. And, of course, everybody pulled for the baby faces. And then we were talking today about how the Horsemen were one of the first teams of the heels that everybody kind of liked. But in 1986, we saw the Horsemen wrestle. We saw Flair and I don't remember who it was back in the day, and you made this. I forgot about this. But who was doing the Horseman sign before it was popular?
We were. I think we were second row in Albany, Georgia, doing the Four Horsemen. People behind us were booing and telling us to sit down, but we were holding up the Four Horsemen
before it was popular to be fans of the Horsemen. What do you think about that, Charlie? We were doing the Four Horsemen sign. We were one of the first ones to do it when it wasn't popular to do it. They were heels. They were bad guys. What do you think about that? Me and your dad. Pretty cool.
But and the thing is, probably the time when we were there before, we were probably booing them. This time that we were there, we were throwing up the Four Horsemen.
Okay, so let me ask you about valets. In the history of valets, who would you say was our favorite, or yours necessarily? I'll throw you mine if you don't say who I think. But we're pretty much online a lot of stuff. But who's your favorite valet, female valet, not male, manager? I'll tell you mine, and I'll give you a hint and see if you just it's kind of hard to remember her sometimes. She was Dusty's, and she was totally Blanchard's.
Baby doll.
Baby doll. Was she not the hottest valet we saw in Albany, Georgia?
Perfect 10.
She was the perfect 10. She was hot in the trot, wasn't she, son?
Yeah.
What about? Oh well, Julie's over there going. Is that right? Yeah, she was number 2 on the female valets. Who would you go with? Female. Number 2.
Are we talking the whole NWA?
Any of them. Any all time.
I don't know, man. I always been kind of sweet on Miss Elizabeth. So
Julie just said I have to agree with you on that. So Baby Doll 1. Baby Doll 1. Miss Elizabeth 2. Who's 3?
Female valets. I mean, there's so many that are just kind of right there around that area. I mean, you got Precious and.
I would go with Precious because she brushed her man's hair when he come into the ring. The dude had a lock of hair, son. What do you think?
But I mean, you think about it. You got a bunch of them. You got Missy Hyde.
Oh
and
man.
then you got Sherry Martell.
What was
And you got Miss Linda, who was a lot of people don't know about Miss Linda.
I'm drawing a blank on Miss Linda.
Come on,
Help me out.
That was Exotic Adrian Street.
Oh my God, Exotic Adrian
mean,
Street. That's a good one.
I mean, you got a bunch of them.
Oh yeah. What about what was her name? Sunshine or oh my God, she was ECW.
Oh yeah.
Not Sunshine. But anyway, they're really
Sonny,
good.
was it Sonny?
Sonny.
Yeah.
That's it. Sonny. Yeah. And yeah, you're right on that. But I go with like we say, Baby Doll, Miss Elizabeth, and Precious. All right. So what about male managers? Who you go with number one?
Jim Cornette's got to be number one.
Jim Cornette one. Who's two? I agree with that. I'm all in because the Midnight Express.
Yeah.
We go with Cornette one. Who's two?
Cornette got more heat than anybody, and
Yeah. Who we go with two?
I mean Jimmy Hart. You got it.
Mouth of the South.
He was good. But
I like that.
J.J. Dillon was good too.
I would go with Dylan because of the Horseman.
Yeah.
And then Hart's right there. But what about this one? And then we're
How
not
about Precious Paul.
Precious Paul and the Road Warriors. Greatest tag team. To me, the greatest tag team of all time. So Precious Paul and but how about this one? How about two of them here? WWE, which we're from the South, so we weren't WWE fans. But how about Captain Lou Albano?
Oh yeah.
And then what about Pencil Neck Geek?
Classy Freddie Blassie.
Classy Freddie Blassie. What do you think? They're top 10?
Oh, yeah.
They're definitely top 10.
Yeah, definitely top 10.
All right. So what do you think about all-time tag teams? Of course, I just kind of spilled my beans on my pick, but who's your favorite tag team of all time?
What do you think, Charles?
What do you think, Charlie? Tag team, not group. So we could go with, like you can say the Horsemen with so many combinations of Horsemen. But two guys.
Okay.
We could go with Tully and Arn.
The Enforcers.
Well, that's Arn and Larry Sabisco.
That's the Enforcers. The
I
Midnight
tell you,
Express.
one of
the
my
Rock and Roll
favorites
Express,
always was
the Road Warriors.
the British Bulldogs.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think about them?
Yeah.
But then their nemesis were the Hart Foundation. They're pretty good too.
What about the Road Warriors?
Oh, the Road Warriors got to be number one.
That's what I'm saying, number one. So you're going two?
Yeah, Road
Who's
Warriors
two?
number one.
I agree with you on that. Road Warriors number one by far. Muscle guys that were athletic as crap.
The Hart Foundation.
Hart Foundation is awesome.
How about the Rock and Roll Express?
Oh, man. I'd have to go with Rock and Roll Express at two. That's a good one. I forgot about them.
Man,
What do you think, Charlie?
Charlie, they had their pictures on a Zippy Mark cup. It's
Yeah.
got to be Rock and Roll.
Yeah, I
Express.
got the cup here still to this day. Charlie, I'm about to bust that out for you a little bit,
What
son.
other tag team had their picture
On
on a
Zippy
Zippy
Mark.
Mark cup?
Like the Jet in Louisville, it was the same thing.
I don't know.
All right, so we go with Rock and Roll Express at two. Okay, so now what group number one of all time, which would be like the Horsemen, Legion of Doom, which didn't include. What was the
they
Purple
started-
Haze and Kevin Sullivan that group?
Oh yeah.
Horsemen, they're definitely number one.
Yeah.
There's no question. Horsemen number one. All right, so now what? Most athletic big guy of all time, big man, big wrestler.
And you're killing me.
That's a tough one there. I got one in my mind while I was thinking about it. What you think?
I don't know.
Big guy like
Like of all
Big
time.
John Studd or Andre the Giant or Hulk Hogan
How
or
about Black Jack Mulligan? He's considered
Black
a
Jack
big
Mullen
guy.
was a
He's
big
considered
one.
a big guy.
He's a good one.
What do you think, Charles?
You know what I'm thinking?
Bam Bam Bigelow.
He just Bam Bam Bigelow. That's who I was
Did you
thinking of.
throw
I
him
swear to
in?
God. That's what I was thinking. Bam Bam Bigelow. That's a good one there. God, the boy knows some wrestling now. Bam Bam Bigelow. And I'm thinking too. I'm thinking, I think Van Vader was a pretty good big guy.
Yeah,
He wasn't
pretty
bad.
good guy,
Pretty athletic, but not. But Bam Bam Bigelow. You remember the first time we saw Bam Bam Bigelow walk the ropes? Like,
Oh,
do
yeah.
the top. We
Yeah.
were like, that dude's like 6'6", 6'7", whatever he was, walking the ropes. So, let's come up with the last question. What do you think?
Greatest masked wrestler.
The greatest masked wrestler. Okay, here we go. Charlie, who's the greatest masked wrestler in your opinion?
I don't know.
I know what Jim's. I'm pretty sure I can figure it.
I'm the masked superstar.
Masked superstar? I would have to agree with that because he's my favorite. How about two, Jim?
The spoiler.
Spoiler? Oh, that's a shot there. I have to go with number two, Mr. Wrestler number two.
All right, so Mr. Wrestler number 2 is like 2A.
2A?
Yeah.
And the spoiler?
Well, you know the spoiler. The spoiler can walk the ropes like we
Oh,
talked about
yeah.
a while ago. So that was a spoiler.
What about the do on that